What's up, Buzz fan? Back on another Beers and Bars video. I'm Casey.
Court.
Today we're checking out George the Poet.
Yeah, at LFJL event at Conduit.
Yo, so this is another beer fun hit up from Twinkling Full Stop. Really appreciate it.
Good.
Yo, so the last few, I mean, we're getting a pretty deep repertoire,
but I know, man.
Deep
This
playlist
is what,
going
like
with George.
4 or 5
yeah, 4 or 5 now. Yeah.
Shoot.
If you guys haven't seen some of our other George the Poets, check them out.
Yeah,
Let's
definitely,
go.
y'all.
Let's get going.
Yeah.
So back in November 2017, I saw a story on the news that affected the world in a way I've only ever seen in very few situations.
Hang on, let's see when this came out. You didn't talk about 2017.
Oh, 3 years.
3 years ago. Okay, so was this during COVID? After COVID?
Yeah, maybe.
Right around there?
Yeah, probably.
Africans were being sold as slaves, tortured for ransom, thrown in graves without so much as a stone engraved. Everyone on social media was so engaged and so enraged. All of a sudden, I saw 1 million posts about migrants running for the Libyan coast, getting trapped in the country, raped, beaten, and kidnapped on a monthly. Social media support is the form of low-risk protest we can afford when we want.
Oh, I knew that's where he's going with it. It's social media support is low risk, right? Because there's you can just say like, everybody go help them, everybody go do something, but you don't actually do anything.
Yeah.
You're not risking yourself or any harm to yourself.
Yeah.
You're not like taking on any like hardship or anything like, you're not going to help out. Yeah.
It's just like, hey, let's save them.
Yeah.
Post.
Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah.
Social media support is the form of low-risk protest we can afford when we want to show solidarity from abroad. It's a godsend for people that are being ignored. Obviously, it was a factor in the Arab Spring. In Libya, Western-backed rebels galloped in challenging Gaddafi, who was taken down after 42 years, and now he ain't around. But online activity operates within limits. Is writing long captions and spitting lyrics equivalent to hospital and prison visits? I mean, it isn't, is it?
Whoa.
I mean, it isn't, is it?
No, it isn't.
Facts.
Whoa.
And prison visits? I mean, it isn't, is it? Still, what are we supposed to do? We reach for the circles of influence we're closest to, but the least we could do is post a poster to. I mean, tens of millions, families, friends, civilians, born on the wrong side of history, all running from lives of misery and loss of order, trying to cross a border with soldiers told to detain them on site in Tripoli. The story was broken by award-winning journalist Naam El-Baka, a young Sudanese woman. Pulled off an investigation police couldn't. Fluent in English and Arabic, she went to Libya, moved with caution, and came back with evidence of human auctions.
Wow.
Whoa.
Wow.
Whoa. Okay, so like she was able to like dig deeper into what was going on, then
behind the scenes.
Freaking law was actually doing.
And she's been able to, and flew home and was able to write what I'm like she's able to write about it, like tell her story of what she saw and how this was going down in like 2017, which is crazy.
And came back with evidence of human auctions. She presented it on CNN, the story bust, of course. That's the benefits of being known as a trusted source. And so, into the public discourse, this discovery was thrust with force. People talked about Libya, discussed its flaws, discussed all the ways in which it shuts its doors to the outside. Basically, we took a look at the situation and had a long, disgusted pause. And that was it. The story never stuck around for too long. The news cycle moved on. Over here, we'd been dealing with Brexit. Every other day, another leaver regrets it. And with the president engaged in beef with intelligence agencies, no one expected much from Americans, basically. Mugabe was overthrown, and it was just another notification on my mobile phone.
Jesus.
Now, from the UK, across the Mediterranean, Libya's like 2,200 miles away. But across the Atlantic, America's over 4,000 miles away. So clearly, closeness doesn't equal concern. If they're not ours, we're leaving people to burn. And the West has so...
Wow.
Dang, man.
Closeness isn't even a concern. If they ain't ours, man,
we're just letting them burn.
Dude.
Well, and he kind of is tying that into like the whole thing he said about the Brexit, right? Like everybody's regretting getting out on that Brexit. Like, but at the same time, he's like, if they're not us, I mean, that's how they got to the Brexit in the first place, right? Realistically, is like they didn't like what the rest of the EU was doing, so they wanted out, and now like here we go.
Sown some bad seeds on the continent. Can't let this evil return. Yet the tone of indignation around immigration, both in the US and in this nation, shows how little history we all learn. And every single day, this planet covers 24,912 miles each full turn.
Wow.
1.6 million miles.
That's like really hard like to wrap your head around how fast we're moving through space. Like in one full turn of the earth. Like that was a clever way to put that.
12 miles each full turn. 1.6 million miles around the sun. So the speed of life alone drowns out the sound of guns. The sound of Western governments dishing out the funds to Libyan militias, even when their hold on a city is pernicious. Whoever can help us keep those Africans off the coast and back in Africa, we'll support the wildest bunch. It's easier than having to absorb 1,000 hungry migrants and scapegoating them for violence in order to deport them out the country. It's more cost effective.
Wow.
It's easier than admitting we've all lost perspective. Now on top of that, Libya harbors a dark secret. Widespread contempt for black skin, causing limited racial interaction. That's created a space, created an underworld that is easy for migrants and refugees to be trapped in. They just want to make it to Europe, and the Libyan coastline is their closest point. If they can't, maybe they'll send their oldest boy. The risk is better than settling soul destroyed. There's no hope in stagnation. So at least in their imagination, they can see just one of them survive in that Mediterranean Sea. But something happens over that Mediterranean. You go from being someone's baby to an immigrant alien.
Jeez.
Arrive at a country with people hating you, even though your situation was never explained to them. We've seen a rise in migrants being demonized and silenced, being penalized, violently illegalized for feeling like there might be a life free of strife where we reside, only to come and realize they have no equal rights in European eyes. And that's the end of the line.
Damn. The way he says a message too, like the way he just wrapped all that up into like a perfect, like obviously he's a poet, right? But like into like a perfect way in which you can't help but digest it and have to like let that sit with you.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's spitting facts right in your face, but in such a way that you like you want to hear it and you don't want to hear it at the same time.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And it's just like, I mean, like I think just like with this, man, holding everyone accountable, man, because it's just like I think that everyone has felt like that in some way, though. You know, it's like you're from a certain place, you have an outsider that's coming in or whatever, and it's just like, hey, you're not from here, though. Hey, like you need to go back to like where you're from, or just, you know, it's just like sad, you know, that people like look at things that way instead of, hey, you know what, like let's find out about your situation, though. You know, how did you get here? Why are you here, though? You know, how can we help? You know, but it's not enough of that going on. So, dude, like he,
Europeanized. And that's the end of the line. When neighboring governments ain't spending a dime, when you're everyone's problem but no one's responsibility. So we can't hold anyone accountable for the fact your life is unaccounted for. No national insurance, no bank accounts. It's like censorship, I swear. They just blank it out. No one wants you here, fam. Get out. And if the sea of angry faces ain't making this clear, well, there's always Operation Sophia. You guys remember Operation Sophia? Formerly the European Naval Force Mediterranean, targeting trafficking in an effort to rein it in. See, after the migrant shipwrecks of 2015, things were never the same again. The focus shifted to tackling smugglers, as opposed to fashioning something with African governments. And do you know what happened because of this? Nothing did. No migrant lives were saved. The House of Lords issued a statement, literally stating that instead of changing this situation, this operation kind of drives the wave. There's more people taking a chance off the coastline, hoping they can advance. Might make it to Spain, might make it to France. But if not, you're stuck at this pit stop with this lot. And you will only exist in a lonely abyss with malicious militias and neo-colonialists. Scared in an open space, but wearing a poker face out there in a broken place where evil himself caught a cold. You see for yourself.
Wow, man.
See, and like the other thing too, how the outsiders are, giving the militias, weapons and like all the means just to keep those people trapped, though. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's some stuff right there, man. It's just like instead of helping them out, it's like, hey, like it's gonna be like less cost effective just to, supply these malicious groups, with what they need to provide terror, though, and to keep them trapped and stuff, man. That
Well, like, and the way he paints that picture of like you're trapped, right, in like a lossless abyss, basically, of like you can't go back to where you're from because like nobody wants you to be there, and it's super dangerous. You're in a place where it's super dangerous. The road ahead of you is super dangerous to get to a place where nobody wants you to be. So then your life isn't good and it's super dangerous for you, right? And so like you are just like in an abyss.
Yeah.
Scared in an open space, but wearing a poker face out there in a broken place where evil himself caught a cold. You see for yourself, bought and sold African bodies, ransom and slavery, traffickers' hobbies. And the last thing in your control was your non-existence. Now that mirage that you saw from a distance turns out to be the solid vision of a supposedly abolished system. After crossing that Sahara Desert, a torrid mission. You're in a squalid prison. Horrid isn't the word. This is absurd. You came in search of freedom, but you're raped and cursed and beaten. All because your non-existence enables your African neighbor to commodify your body and trap it in labor. That very non-existence slips the mind of so many politicians. The ones who declared that the region was stable, invited you to come and take your seat at the table. You've been on a quest to make it to the coastline ever since those Western nations gave the coastline. So you paid smugglers thousands of pounds. Left town, told yourself if you drown, then you drown. That's your business. And after all of this, what you found in Libya was lawlessness. A makeshift nation. A place abandoned. It's not what you heard from Obama or David Cameron. About a country on its way to democracy. What you see is a failing economy with no single prevailing authority, just gangsters in a state of autonomy who stand to gain if you can be used for trade. To keep you at bay, that's who the EU have paid. They treat you this way.
Wow.
See, that's what I'm saying, man. Like it goes back to, them stuff in the pockets of people that are keeping, these others that need help trapped, man.
It's probably framed in a way it's like, oh, they're keeping the law and order, they're policing the country or whatever. And really they're just taking the money so they could stay in power and then like sell people to keep making more money.
To keep you at bay, that's who the EU have paid. They treat you this way because they need you afraid. They can charge your family double the fee you have paid on the basis of fear. But another way to pay the fee is straight up slavery. And there's a market for that because of racism here. How do you make this trade disappear? These guys have arrangements with Italy to catch migrants and detain them in Tripoli under Operation Sophia.
Wow.
Some people say your smugglers are working under the cover of government, providing a security supplement essential to power. And because of shared interests, they're friends for the hour. But the friendship has the potential to sour if, for example, the government gives in to international calls to apprehend them. That alliance would have to end then. I wrote this in 2018. Things have developed. But what happens in that event then? When your struggle outlasts our attention spans and we go back to funding our cars and our pension plans. Libya's government has 34 detention camps and the UN can't access half of them. Even if they could, what happens after then? Will they be sending the troops in? And if they do, will there be an end to the shooting? Who's gonna contact your family? How do you combat insanity? How do you even come back from that reality? Companionship is a form of leadership, and we're all in need of it.
So I like how he's saying like the situation that they were put in is at like such a state at this point in which even if you sent in your troops and you freed them from these prisons or these like slavery situations, like even if you got them out of that, where do they go?
It's like, what's next though, and that's.
And they just spiral into another abyss, like because there's no stability and.
Yeah, and then they're not going to bring him back, to the European side, like where they got to, lock things on for him, because it's just going to cost too much for them. It's going to, be an inconvenience. And so it's just like, okay, we free you, but yeah, just like that. Just like go back to your abyss or whatever.
Right, but I would wonder on the flip side of this, like there has to be a limit to it, right? Like you couldn't free everybody.
Yeah.
From like a country. So like, how do you like balance that out? I guess would be like the follow. And like, obviously like turning a blind eye is not the answer, but taking on an entire country obviously is not really an answer either. So like, I don't know where you kind of find a middle ground there.
Yeah.
Is a form of leadership, and we're all in need of it. We're all we've got. If your family or friends were caught in this, could you switch that story off? Surely not. Entertainers and the arts can end the failures of the past if artists become advocates and audiences become activists. Everything I do comes back to this. In life, that's what my next chapter is. This is what my journey's been leading to, and it's what I've personally been leaning to. A lot of people know me as a recording artist, but I've been taking long to get back to making songs. Because even if my tracks get great responses, a better use of my talent is to provide a service for a higher purpose every time I speak to you. Now, if you can take all that information that we just threw at you, imagine what else we can do. Any emotion you felt listening to me, it's time to start pursuing it. This is what you do with it. Support the people on the justice front line, even if it's just this one time.
I like the way he says that. And so that kind of answers my question, right? It's like, what do you do? What you do is you get all the people to take their time and go support, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the only real way you can make a large difference. Because like a lot of people think like, oh, it's just because they're poor or they don't have this or they don't have that. But in many situations that we've seen over history, time and time again, you throw money at a problem, it doesn't always fix it, right? Because there's not enough money to fix like some of these situations. You have to, it takes time and years like of development and like he's saying, compassion from people and building a community and that community growing in order for it to make it like a real change.
Yeah.
And so I like what I think he's about to do is make a pitch to try to get people to come with him and aid people or go and volunteer their time and show compassion to bring people like and make a better situation for people's lives.
Definitely, man.
Even if it's just this one time. I want to leave you with this passing thought. As a young Ugandan, I love my country. I was born and raised over here, but I have hopes of going back over there. Uganda, being situated in the heart of East Africa, is a region that is no stranger to coups, no stranger to civil unrest, but for 33 years, we've been under one leader in relative quiescence, let's say. The events of Libya prompted me to write this because they so profoundly disturb my prospects in Uganda, given that we've had this dictator for so long, given that Mugabe's been ousted, Bashir was ousted to the north of us in Sudan. All of these changes happening on the continent are very real, very immediate. And it was an honor, a relief for me to connect with a charity that is so intelligently and doggedly challenging the status quo. So please, support the people on the justice front line, even if it's just this one time. Thank you very much for listening. God bless.
Wow.
That's powerful.
Definitely.
That was powerful. Wow. Yo, Twinkling Full Stop, appreciate you putting us onto this one.
Yeah.
I think your timing is pretty impeccable right now with what's going on in like Sudan and everything too. So like, it's really cool to see that somebody like George the Poet is able to use his talents and use his platform to push a powerful message and to try to help as many people as he can. So I hope that this was super fruitful and that he was able to help a lot of people. And I hope that we can continue to help people in the future.
Definitely, yo. Wow.
All right, Buzz fam.
Y'all.
If y'all new here, join the Buzz fam. Hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, but also y'all, hit up that beer fund, cop some merch, and also peep out our George the the Poet playlist as well.
All right, guys. Until next time.
Peace.
Peace.